Welcome to Subject to Change, a sustainability podcast. We're here with Bob Leonard to talk about chaos to clarity.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you, I'm wearing, you said not in my backyard, I'm wearing my, you can't even see, my wind turbine dress.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Wind turbine dress.
Okay.
I
Where
wore
does
it
one
to work
even
today.
get a wind turbine dress?
Yeah, there's this company, I gotta look up their name, it's been a while, but they sell all kinds of dresses with pockets, thank God. Specifically science patterns and math patterns for women and girls. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you see the little microphone in the lower right, click on that to learn more. We're so glad you're here.
Bob, it's so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Lauren.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
We're very casual, not that you can tell.
Let's do it.
Was the first time we talked at, it was at the unconference, wasn't it?
No, you and I?
Yeah.
No, what happened was I wrote a Pulse article for LinkedIn, and you you replied, you made a comment, and I read it and I thought about it and I thought, oh my God, I've never thought about it this way. She's right. So it was you opened my mind a little bit with that.
I had forgotten that part.
Yeah. So we've been hanging out virtually ever since.
Where's Bob?
Bob, what part of the world are you in?
Portland, Oregon.
Ooh, so nice. Cool.
But he has been
cool.
in Florida and in Connecticut. Weren't you in Connecticut for a little while? And
I was born in Hartford. Yeah.
So
just a few short years ago.
How long ago were you in Florida?
4 years. 4 years ago. We left because the Hurricane Irma was the last straw. I didn't care for the heat and humidity. And we lived in Sarasota, which is the Trumpiest city in the Trumpiest state.
That's why I was guessing you left.
So, and the climate change, the water is rising.
Absolutely overdeveloped.
It's way overdeveloped. Red tide, manatees dying. It just anyway.
And still allowing development. This is what blows my mind. I think also of Lake Mead in California being so reduced, and yet they're not talking about restricting development. They're talking about where can we pump more water from. It's like,
right.
What?
Well, that's the mindset. This is how it works. This is how our economy works. We got to keep growing.
Is it time to rethink the definition of growth? So do we think that that's it's our definition of growth that's the main issue?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that. There's degrowth, which I don't like, because it's like defund the police, degrowth. It gets a knee-jerk reaction from people, and it's more nuanced than that. So I'm hoping somebody will come up with a better term for it, because it's what you think, even myself, is, that's constricting, that's not going to be good. It can't happen, and everybody can have sufficient. Nobody has to go hungry, or all things like that.
Let's talk about those $10 boots.
So you have 2 pair of high quality pants that last you 10 years rather than 20 pairs of low quality pants that last you a few months.
Yeah, that's the classic story, right? The guy who buys can only afford to buy a $10 pair of boots, and every year he's buying himself a $10 pair of boots. If he could buy the $100 pair of boots, or the $100 pair of boots, he'd have them for 15 to 20 years. But he just doesn't have the upfront money, or he doesn't have the access to those $100 pair of boots.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Very
See, this
true.
is why it was so cool that Bob was going to sit and chat with us for a little while, because he's already in the first 3 minutes we've talked about politics, about the economy, and about sustainability, and also about leadership when you
And
were getting your
boots.
drink.
And boots.
And boots.
And boots. Yeah.
I love that. I love thinkers and doers. Thinkers and doers. I think they have to go hand in hand. Chaos to clarity.
What is chaos to clarity?
Chaos to Clarity is the name of a book that I'm working on with this guy, David Ross, who is in Sydney, Australia. And it is about the need to change leadership styles, corporate leadership styles, and corporate organizational structures. And we're seeing it with the Great Resignation. As a matter of fact, we took a little detour and decided to write a quick ebook about Beyond the Great Resignation, because it overlaps so much with this. But the need to change, you got your Harvard MBA in the 80s, say, and that helped you get into an executive position of leadership, but that's not going to help you get through what we're seeing now.
VUCA, VUCA.
Do you know the acronym VUCA? VUCA? Well, it is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And it was coined a while ago by the U.S. Army, and to define situations where it is very uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen. And in those situations, they push, like you see what's happening now in Ukraine. Putin has that old style of hierarchical, I'm the boss. So the people on the ground can't make a decision in the moment. They have to call Moscow. So they are indecisive, and they're getting their butts handed to them.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But that is highly reliable organizations push the decision making out to the edges, out down into the organization, so that they can, because they're closer to the customer, they're closer to to the work, and because things are happening so fast now, you don't have time to wait for the board to make a decision or wait for the CEO to make a decision. So you've got to train the people, and you've got to give them the psychological safety so they feel, okay, I'm going to do something here. I know there's a risk involved. It might fail, but I know that that's going to be okay. I'm not going to get fired because I made a mistake.
I absolutely love this, because I think one of the things that, well, first of all, very cool that the armed services coined that phrase, because they were also pretty much first on the ground with zero net water, zero net energy, zero net waste goals. The Army had bases that had those goals in place well before anybody else even comprehended
Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
they had 3 different Army bases. One was set zero net water goals, 1 zero net waste, 1 zero net energy, and then they had one base that was aiming for all 3. I forget which base it was, but they published all of these goals. They said the reason they're doing that is because it's a force multiplier. If you don't have to spend money on waste, if you don't have to spend money on energy, you have money to equip your troops. And it was just brilliant. So cool for them.
Yeah.
Recognizing the situation. And then second, I think one of my problems at working in state government was not to blame anybody, but the status quo is, for example, there's a climate law, And the climate law is very clear with aspirational goals that are very big and very broad. 85% greenhouse gas reductions in every sector by 2050. That's a law. Everybody in government, all right, I say everybody, someone's going to get upset with me saying everyone. Many of the people in government, many of the institutions at state government level are saying, well, no one's told us what to do yet, so we're not going to do anything. Because they're waiting for somebody to dictate what has to be done down to the use mini splits here level.
Oof.
Even
Because
though the aspirational goal is very clear and everybody knows if we do nothing, we'll never get there.
Yeah, they don't feel safe
Right.
taking action.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel safe not taking action.
I'm not gonna lie. I just plain and simple just don't feel safe anymore.
You know what? That's
well,
big. Yeah.
it's yeah, I think most people who are aware of what's going on feel that way. I had a dream about a week ago. Did you ever see oh God, the Kubrick movie about nuclear war? What's
Yeah,
it
I
called?
just watched it like 2 weeks
No.
ago. Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. And in it, Slim Pickens, who was this cowboy actor, singer back then in the 60s, literally jumps on a nuclear rocket and rides it down. Yeehaw! And anyway, so I had a dream of that scene, and it had to be because of what's going on with Ukraine, you know.
And in that scene, just to complete the picture, I was surprised James Earl Jones was one of the guys in that bomber.
Oh, really?
He was one, and you wouldn't know it unless, well, you know his voice, but he was like, God, if he was 20 years old, I'd be surprised. He was one of the guys in that plane with Slim Pickens, who would have made that connection.
Yeah.
And it's a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
It's very similar in my mind to the current film Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up. I agree.
That one
it has that same kind of feel. Like, why are we living in this world of insane stupidity and blindness? It's right there. It's right there. You're not going to market your way out of it.
I'm reading a book right now called Gray Rhino. And Michelle Wooker is the author. And what it is a gray rhino is a cross between a black swan and the elephant in the room. So climate change is a gray rhino. Everybody knows it. Everybody, or most people see it. You know it's coming, but we don't do anything about it.
We ignore it willingly.
Yeah, and yeah, she goes into a lot of other examples like the financial crash in 2008, and you know, and what's the human psychology that enables that.
We're ignoring truths that were understood 2 years ago.
We're facing wicked problems.
It is wicked problems.
Yeah,
wicked problems can't really be solved. They can be tamed, or you know, so
navigated.
And that takes a diversity of people, not just race and gender, but age, experience, where title, where they are in the organization, all that stuff.
February 25th, 2009. You know what? There are good people who are not so
plenty.
old white guys, right?
Yeah.
So what helps the people who are seeing this potential? What do you think helps them to see the potential? Like, why are they? Why are you?
For me, it was a very traumatic event.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
February 25th, 2009. Sarasota, Florida. I was shot during a home invasion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The femoral vein and artery of my left leg were severed. I bled out, was helicoptered to a trauma center, which of course I don't remember any of that. And they saved, they saved my life. And after
you.
that, after that, it was, why? Why did they come to my house? Why did they shoot me? It really wasn't necessary. And why did I survive?
Right. Right.
Uh, so I went on a spiritual journey, which is not unusual for people who have a brush with death. And, and for years, for a long time. And that's when I became interested in climate change. I felt, okay, this is why I'm here. I have a purpose. I am here for this.
Everyone has a journey.
Feeling sorry for yourself gets boring after a while. So, that's when I really changed. But it took several months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to Jody's original question, then, I mean, so you had a very extreme.
Experience.
So do you try on a regular basis through your writing, and maybe conversations and other avenues, try to get people to kind of change their perspective?
No, this is part of the spiritual journey. My personal spiritual journey
Mhm.
is I don't tell anybody to do anything.
Mhm.
It's I think it's everybody has a journey to go on. If it's something like a piece of advice that one of my adult children asked me, of course I'll tell them, and they may or may not listen to it, but uh, for the most part, I don't tell anybody. It's not my job. It's not none of my business.
Spaceship Earth. Well, there is some reframing that happens through your writing and through the way things are illustrated. For example, you're wearing this Spaceship Earth hat, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's something that I really have always been impressed by, is just consistently illustrating this Earth as a shared spaceship that we're all crew on.
Mhm. Well, that's David Hoole. That was
Yeah,
by way of Buckminster Fuller.
Fuller,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you're definitely involved with that
Oh yeah, I'm on
like
board. Yeah.
deeply, yeah. And and it's connective. When you tell someone what to do, it's often dismissive or disconnective.
Yeah, I know better than you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But expressing this is a way to see things
Crew.
invites curiosity, right?
We're all crew members
We're all
on
crew.
Spaceship Earth.
No matter what.
No matter what your talents, no matter what your skills, no matter what your interests, your education, your experience, climate touches everything. So you can do what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, what you're good at, and address the issues of
Yeah.
climate issues. And everybody's different, and it's going to take all of us, and you can
All of
have
us.
a wonderful career.
Mm, I love that. Putting food on the table.
I do think that there are a series of people that get up and they wake up with that mindset. Not necessarily a mindset of passion, but just a mindset that maybe we're here for something greater. Fair.
Yeah.
But I don't think everybody gets up and feels that way.
Well, there's a lot of everybody's had a different life experience. Everybody's had a different community and parenting and all that. So you can't really. And a lot of people are just busy trying to keep food on the table and a roof
Yeah.
over their heads.
Yeah.
I hear that quite often. That yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about climate, but I'm more concerned that my kids don't go hungry tonight.
Yeah, about livelihood.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing to take a half a beat and remind yourself of the potential story that could be behind an action that you don't agree with. Look for the backstory. You have no idea what the backstory is. My For a long time, my husband always was confused why I didn't have the car clicker set up to unlock all the doors at once. I would unlock the driver's door and then I would unlock the side door separately. The second click would make the side doors open up, and I didn't really know either. And I was like, look, this is the way I want it. I want it this way. And one day he asked me, and I blew up and said, because I have no idea who's going to be on the sidewalk to jump into my car when I'm alone at night. And I didn't even know that's what I was thinking, but that's really what I was thinking. And and he just saw the inconvenience of it and didn't look for the backstory. No harm, no foul. I hadn't looked for the backstory either. But I think that's a very simplistic example, but I think there's often a backstory
Yeah.
that is an influencer, and unless we just talk with each other, we're never going to know any of those backstories.
Yeah, communicate, and that is, I think, a typical thing where a guy is not going to think that way, or most guys
Yeah.
wouldn't think that way.
Yeah. I'm not going to think the way somebody who is living hand to mouth. I can be I can say a comment, and I say this all the time, that I have a very bad relationship to money because I don't really think about it. How horrific that statement must be to someone who has to think about it every single minute of every single day. More on the Great Resignation. Any revelation about the Great Resignation that you've discovered to date in what
Well,
you're doing?
yeah, and at a high level, that this is just a symptom of a much larger sea change in society. This is just, people are saying, no, I don't want to work for that. Or no, I don't want to, my kids need me at home. The, the or no, I don't want to um, work where I have no autonomy, where I have no flexibility, where I don't feel respected. Um, and so it's kind of a harbinger of a maturity, of growing up. You transfer from being a kid to a teenager to an adult, and it's kind of like that. Um, and people are saying, yeah, no, I have choices now. I can start my own business, or I went back to school to learn something, so that I can do a different career, or whatever it is. Um, so that's what Beyond the Great Resignation is the name of it, the book, and this is a permanent change. This is, a change in the way we live, the way we think, what we view as normal. And all of that is up for grabs right now. Well, up for grabs is not the right term, but all of that is changing.
Still churning. It's still churning now. Yeah.
It is churning, and we have an opportunity in this uncertainty. David Houle talks about the fork in the road, which also comes from Buckminster Fuller, and we are there. We have an opportunity to go to utopia, to be able to feed, clothe, educate, and shelter every person on Earth, or we can continue down the path we're going, where a small percentage of people just have unfathomable wealth, and everybody else is scraping for scraps. But it has to be a conscious decision, and it requires government policy, requires corporate involvement, and I think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen soon enough.
It's happening across the full spectrum. Got a simple question. Maybe simple. Have you seen that the Great Resignation hits every single aspect of our breadth of work? Or is it focused really at mid-level managers?
No, it's
Every single.
pretty, from what I've read,
Mhm.
it's pretty well across
Mm, that's
industries,
interesting.
across ages, across where you are in the corporation. Um,
Mhm.
CEOs are leaving too.
Mm,
CEOs are quitting too. It's a thing. And
mm.
for the most part, they can see, okay, things are going to get tougher. It's going to be tougher for me to be successful here. I've got a nice golden parachute. I've got a nice pension. I've got my stocks portfolio is doing well. Let me go now,
Mm, mm.
because things are going to change.
Excitement about reading.
Shoot, I don't know. I lost it. Maybe it'll come back.
When's the
The launch.
yeah,
Sorry.
when do you think that you're going to be at a point where the book is released?
Well, the
Ballpark.
Great Resignation will be fairly soon, probably July. The Chaos to Clarity probably be another year. We want to,
Yeah.
the Great Resignation is self-published, and Chaos to Clarity, we want to get a publisher.
Hmm.
So that'll take a lot more time. Have you read Kim Stanley Robinson's The Future Ministry, The Ministry of the
It's
Future?
I haven't read it. It's come up. We did a great podcast with the 2041 project, which is happening at SUNY Oneonta. Oh, I think you'd like that. I'm going to send you the link to that because I think you would be impressed with what they're doing. But they've mentioned that book as a real inspiration.
Yeah, well, it's a real inspiration.
I gotta read it.
He knows what he's talking about. He's
Yeah.
done the research and understands the science and the politics and the economics and
His head
how
would
our
explode if
world.
he understood all of it.
But it's also on the fiction. It's just a good story. It's good,
Mm,
it's a well written. You care about the people and
mhm.
etc. And
Oh, that's good.
it's a way to get that message to people, of the climate change message to get it past the filter. They say, "Well, I don't
Yeah,
believe in that. I don't want it." It's you get the people involved in the story, and it's the spoonful of sugar.
right. Mary Poppins, one of my favorites. Enough is as good as a feast. That's my other favorite quote from her. Enough is as good as a feast.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
Isn't that a great quote?
Sufficient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's learn about Bob's hero. Surprising. Who would you like us to know about that inspired you and is your hero?
Can't think of anybody. What comes to my head, and this is ridiculous, but uh, Marilyn Monroe.
Ooh.
Really?
Marilyn Monroe. There's a quote
Okay.
from Marilyn, and she said this. It wasn't in a movie. She said this in real life. It's all make believe, isn't it? And so, as a philosophy of
Yeah.
life, um, don't sweat the small stuff. It's you know, and that goes back to also the spiritual journey thing.
Mm,
Is are we in the matrix? Are we?
right.
Is this a video game?
That's a whole nother conversation we need to have
Yeah.
because when I read, there are some things that I have read that made me want to go down that rabbit hole. Like people aren't seeing the same colors I'm seeing. So how do we actually talk about color as a designer? What am I doing? Am I actually designing things in a way that people are understanding them in the same way I am? I have no
uh,
idea.
right.
That's one thing, right? And then the other, what's the other? There was another thing that kind of blew my mind when there are some people who don't have like a constant dialogue in their head. They don't hear voices at all. They don't have conversations. They don't use there's no verbiage that happens in their mind.
Yeah.
It's the words are only, I know Lauren's looking like totally shocked. It's a thing.
Really?
Really.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
want that or don't want that.
It's meditation helps to
I do it every
quiet.
day.
Do you? Okay.
Every day.
I
It
need
does
to do
help,
that more.
but I still have a voice. It's still very chatty.
Yeah, I do too, but not as much as when I was younger, you know.
Oh,
I
mine's getting
think
noisy.
it's also just getting old. You know, you really don't care what people think. Well, there's another one. There's a Eleanor Roosevelt.
Ooh,
Eleanor Roosevelt said, "You wouldn't worry what people thought of you if you knew how seldom they do."
Yeah, exactly. Those are great heroes. I really, there are times, things that I read about Marilyn Monroe. I really like that quote.
yeah. I think I need to give up TV and start reading as much as the two of you.
All right, and
this conversation took a turn.
but that's exactly, all of
That's
our
what we do
conversations
this
take
for.
a turn. And you know, no person has a single facet.
Yeah.
We like to see a couple of facets glint in the course of a chat.
Well, when I worked in marketing and corporations, it would stay on message. You know what your message is, and you just, like a politician,
Yeah.
no matter what the question is, you've got your answer.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
We don't do that. I don't think I know how to do that.
I doubt you do. Yeah.
What do we all need to focus on?
Okay, so the other question that we always ask, if you could have everybody stop what they were doing right now and focus on one collective initiative. I know you don't like to tell people what to do, but if you could in this instance, what would that initiative be? What should we all be focusing on?
Climate. If we don't fix that, we're done. We are done, and most of the species on the planet are done. The planet will be okay.
Yeah.
After 5 million years, you know, the planet will, which is a blip, geologic time. The planet will recover, but we will be gone. And even worse than that to me is collapse, societal collapse. You know, I have friends who are grandparents, and I don't talk about this with them because they have these little ones that they certainly love and want them to have a good life. And I don't have good news. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe all this stuff happens for a reason. I do not know. I don't have the master plan, but
wouldn't it be nice? Maybe it wouldn't be nice, but it would be nice to catch a glimpse of that master plan. It really,
yeah.
If such a thing exists, it would be nice to, although it would be interpreted in 100 million different ways. So maybe it's not what we need to be doing.
Well, I hope you're right that if we're at this junction, if we're at the fork in the road, and the opportunity there is to turn towards a fair, equitable, utopian, although I hesitate to use that word, direction. I hope that people can become aware enough and honest enough to move in that direction. I unfortunately don't have that much hope for that.
Yeah, I think we agree there. I think most people are decent, good people, but they can be influenced. It's tough. It's a tough transition. We're going through a transition.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment for a parting thought. I ask both of you to end this chat, because I've really enjoyed it, with finding one thing that you can do without anyone telling you to do it that would make you realize you have an impact. And that's powerful.
This is a question to answer, or was this our homework?
No, let's just call that a parting thought. because
Okay,
I think I
cool.
need to do that for me as well. I need to find the one thing I can do today, the one thing I can do tomorrow, and it's all mine to do.
All
I
right.
feel like I can think of several things pretty quickly, which makes me happy to think.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. That means you've been thinking about it.
Yeah,
good, good. Thank you so much for your
thank
time,
you.
Thank
Bob. This was
you.
It
This
amazing.
was
was
so nice to
fun.
meet
This
you.
was fun.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Lauren. And Jody, I'll see you around Twitter and
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
You have a headshot that we might be able to use.
Oh, yeah. I need a new head. My headshot is 15 years old. And
You still
man,
have a head though.
I
I
was
should just have you smile right now and I'll just do a screen grab with your
I used to be handsome. Let's leave it at that.